Do it. You gotta say it because you're having so much fun. You gotta say, what's up, YouTube? It's the first 15. Try that.
Hello, YouTube. It's double 15.
Nice. Love it. What's up, YouTube? It's the first 15, and I am enjoying this beautiful day with my two little knuckleheads that are running around the yard. We got a beautiful stream behind our house and a wooden bridge that I need to fix up. But it's just a great little amenity that we have at our house that we can hang out. This cool bridge of sorts. It's just wonderful, man. What a great day to be alive, guys, man. So it has been 7 days. It's been 7 days since I started this experiment, and there's so much to retrospect about. It's been amazing. I'm so excited. It's so much fun freaking learning something completely new in which I know very little about.
No.
And we're also going to do Saturday retrospective. So I'm going to talk about everything that I've learned in the last 7 days. It just feels like a lifetime because I'm learning so much. But we're gonna, yeah, there you go. But we're gonna talk about it today. I hope you guys learned something, and feel free to ask me questions or leave ideas in the comments. All your support has been so appreciated. It's been so much fun. It's only been 7 days. I hope I can keep doing it. But I think I will. So let's jump to it. Here we go. What's up, YouTube? Yeah. So we're gonna jump right into the Saturday retrospective, and I wanted this to be less of kind of professional. Of course, not the name of my stuff is really professional at this point, but I wanted to be more of a conversation between me and you guys out there that are watching as I'm learning through this epic change your life quest that I'm engaging in. And there's just so much that has gone on in the last 7 days. So I have a couple notes that I wrote down that I printed out because I wanted to make sure that I got to them, because there's so many things that I've done this week. And so the overarching theme of this retrospective for this week is very simple. It is execute to learn. Execute to learn. That's all that I was kind of aspiring to do this first week, is just execute. I know in my heart, I've seen it, I've done it with clients, is that the fastest way to learn is through execution, and small incremental experiments avail you much. They allow you to see what was previously unseen. They allow you to uncover the emerging ideas that come up when you're building software, and allows you to uncover the unknowns of what you're doing so that you can make better informed decisions as you guys move forward. So the whole idea is execute to learn. So let me give you guys kind of a whole context of what's happened since I've started this channel. So the legendary quest to change my life was unlocked on February 22nd. So February 22nd, so I guess about a week and a half ago. That's where I saved up enough money for my $10,000 kind of constraint, my $10,000 constraint of how much I'm willing to spend in terms of my price constraint for this experiment. And so for you guys, you might say, well, Peter, that's very anti-agile for you to save up that much money, because it sounds like a lot of pre-planning. Well, not really, because what companies have is they have budgets. They have budgets that they have, and they usually, as you guys well know, they use these budgets to create plans. And they say, well, we have X number of dollars to build this product. Let's just see what we get. And so instead of throwing $1 million at this thing, I'm throwing a smaller chunk. Now you say, well, Peter, you're just changing your life. $10,000 for just one person is still a lot of money. However, knowing what I wanted to do, kind of the vision of this entire YouTube channel was to literally change my life. I hope you guys read the manifesto. It's going to be linked right here. So if you haven't read the manifesto, you certainly need to. That is kind of my catch-all for the entire reasoning behind this whole experiment of sorts, right? And so the legendary quest was unlocked on February 22nd, so I saved up $10,000, and my first video was published on February 26th, Saturday. So 7 days ago is when I published my first video. You guys can probably see, if you go back to the first video, if you watch the second video, you watch the third video, you'll see that I'm getting more and more comfortable speaking in front of a camera with no feedback whatsoever. You know, for those who have seen me in action at clients, have seen me in action at conferences, you guys probably say, well, wow, Peter's probably, he seems like he's a much better speaker in real life than he is speaking into a camera. And you're 100% correct. The quick iterations that I did early on was how do I create a cadence to my delivery? How do I get comfortable? And again, the whole theme is execute to learn, execute to learn. So I just executed the shit out of it. I just said, let's just do it. My first take, terrible. Second take, terrible. Third take, terrible. I remember one video, I forget which one specifically. I think I did like 9 takes. And these aren't short videos. These are pretty significant for me to put time into. So I did like 9 takes on one of them. And I just wasn't comfortable talking to an inanimate object that doesn't give me any type of feedback. And so for me, I work so much better off of feedback than anything else. And so I've completed 9 quests in this 7 days. The quests include things like unboxing my first purchase, the studio lighting. That was so cool. It was my first kind of unboxing video and showing you guys the current gear that I'm rocking for this. I did a vlog on the budget, so make sure you check out that video of the Google Doc that I created for this budget. I unboxed some monitors, so that was another experience of unboxing some LG monitors. I published that actually today. I gave some context, and this was actually a subscriber generated quest. The subscriber generated quest was, hey Peter, tell us about your gaming history. So that was a great quest. It was a side quest. And so I talked about my gaming history. If you look at that video, it is so awkward. So awkward. Again, I'm just learning how to speak in front of a camera. I think I did probably 5 or 6 takes of that easily. And if you look, there's a lot of editing because there's a lot of ums and a lot of, man, what am I doing type of commentary. Let's see what else. I completed 3 epic reviews of 3 epic gaming companies: Falcon Northwest, Dell, and Alienware Area 51. So I hope you guys check those out. Again, those are really, again, opportunities for me to execute and learn how to speak to a camera and speak in this medium. And so the whole week was execute, execute, execute. I created a cadence early on in this, and I said, hey, you know what? I don't want to get burned out. I want to create a pace that's sustainable for me. And so my very first day, I said, let me just do 1 video per day. And then after I finished that video, I found that cadence wasn't sustainable. I felt like I could take on more. And so I inspected, I adapted, and now I'm pumping out 2 videos per day. And I think that's the cadence that I'm going to stick with for now, because it allows me to do a video early in the morning and then a video in the mid-afternoon when the kids are at school, or early afternoon when the kids are in school. And so it allows me a time to have just quiet in my office thinking about what I'm going to talk about, and it allows me to pump out 2 videos, which I think is even better than just 1 per day. again, the more that I learn, the more that I execute, the faster I learn. And I'm so glad that you guys are coming along with me on this journey, because I'm learning a lot, and I hope that you guys are learning a lot too. You'll constantly see small iterations if you're looking closely. You'll see small iterations of how I'm using YouTube, or how I'm changing the thumbnails for the YouTube videos, or how I'm doing comments, and how I'm doing descriptions, how I'm doing SEO, search engine optimization, keywords, how I'm doing. There's so much. I also joined 6 computer hardware forums this week, and I started asking a shit ton of questions, because I would never say that I'm an expert in hardware. I'm software focused. Hardware was something that I dabbled in my early years, but I never spent enough time to really understand hardware components and how it all comes together. I built a computer back in the late 90s, but it wasn't anything that was anything that impressed on me, like, wow, I really know how to throw in this SCSI card, or I really know how to throw in this graphics card, or I really know how to change out the motherboard. I mean, it was like, hey, I'm only switching out one part, and I think this goes here. Does it work? It works, great. So I'm such a noob when it comes to hardware. So I've joined 6 hardware forums, computer hardware forums, and started asking a ton of questions. And what I love about those types of communities is they looked at me and they're like, okay, so this guy's brand new, it's 0 post or 1 post, and he looks like a complete noob. But at the same time, they were great. They were willing to help me understand which components make sense, which components, hardware components I shouldn't buy. So I was learning so fast and sucking that up. It was so much fun to do that. I generally, as a software developer, I generally spend most of my time in Stack Exchange and Quora than actual hardware forums. So this is a new endeavor for me, jumping into hardware. There are 3 things that I want to talk about in this retrospective that I think are important for you guys to understand on this retrospective Saturday. And the first is about the manifesto that I wrote on agilescout.com. What I wrote it late last night, and I want to tell you what that experience was. I have been thinking about doing this for a long time. I've been thinking about changing my life in a drastic way for a long time, and that really stems from my own internal curiosity of who I am, what makes me tick, what am I passionate about, and what do I enjoy doing. And so if you read the manifesto that I wrote on agilescout.com, you'll see that I kind of go through, what I'm good at. I excel at scientific endeavors, experimentation. I'm a data-centric guy. I love data. I love seeing patterns. I love aggregating that. And I love being able to find patterns within complex systems, especially complex organizational systems, and figuring out which levers to pull, which constraints to remove, so that we can improve performance and improve delivery and these types of things. So I've always been a problem solver at heart. And there's been many times throughout my recent life that I'm constantly bombarded with, change your life. Here's 3 tips to improve your life. Here's 5 ways to do this better. Here's the 10 things that you need to do to get a job. These bullet lists are great, and I think they have good intentions behind them. But I was so tired with all the rhetoric and all the nonsense. I talk about this all the time. I talk about it all the time for my clients. Like, we need to execute better to learn. We need to experiment more. We need to take smaller slices of our work and do that first, and gather as much data as we can, so we can make data-centric decisions around what we need to do strategically and tactically when it comes to building software. And so there was something that was boiling up in me, and I finally figured it out. And what that was is that if I've used Agile, I've used Scrum, I've used Kanban, I've used all sorts of development techniques with my startups, and I've been tremendously successful with them. Agile's the best way to build a startup, by far, hands down. And those were great experiments. We won. I've started 12. I've started 12 startups since 1997, 10 of them have failed, and 2 of them have been successfully privately acquired, which is awesome. Those were just great experiences, and I'll probably talk about those in future vlogs. But there was something inside of me that said, hey, Peter, yeah, you've experienced this stuff. Yeah, you can speak intelligently about this stuff. Yeah, you can really help large and small companies improve the way that they do delivery, but you've been away for a while. You've been away for a while. And it's time for you to really get back in the trenches and dig deep and really kind of revalidate, I guess that's the best way of putting it, is revalidate everything that I've been teaching and training thousands of people on, and revalidate, is that true? Is it really true? Am I following a blind faith in this? Am I being a petty consultant and saying, hey, this is how you do it, but yet I actually haven't really experienced it? You know, this idea in my own life, it's not truthful. It's just not being honest. And so I finally came to the conclusion that the best way to really validate this yearning in my life was to do a massive experiment on my own life as a proof of concept that this agile stuff really works. And you see, if you read my manifesto of sorts, that if the whole kind of idea was, if agile can work with small companies and change the dynamics at play so small companies can improve, and if agile can work at large complex organizations, then it would make sense that agile can work in what I believe to be the most complex system of all time. It's your life. It's your life. I have a beautiful wife. I have 2 knuckleheads that you guys have seen that are running around, and my wife is a known known. She is a known element. I understand her. I understand how to work with her, how to live with her, how to love her the best way that I can. But there's variables in my life. Best example is my 2 little kids. They're growing like weeds. I mean, I spend a week away from them and come back, they're completely new people. They are the variable in my life that I cannot control. And the 2 choices I have is I can react or I can respond. And I always try to be cognizant of responding to the changes in my children and being, I'm a scientist, so I think very logically, and things are generally black and white for me. And to respond appropriately so that I can be empathetic to how they're growing, how they're learning, and being able to help support that growth in the best way that I can. And so it's a complex system. I have work, I have life, I have bills to pay, I have places to be, I have people that I want to help, I have personal endeavors that I want to enjoy. There's just so many variables. It is a complex system. And so I figured, man, if Agile can work with small systems, it can work with large systems, then why can't it work with the most complex system in the world, which is my life? And so let's run an epic adventure. Let's run an epic experiment on my life. Can I truly believe what I say by actually doing it? By actually doing it. And I can't find a volunteer to say, hey, I want to run a giant change your life experiment on you. The best is work with what you know, and that's me. And so I decided, out of all the options that I had that I could move into, like building cars. I love building cars. It's just too expensive. The constraints are just too way out there. But I wanted to pick something to change my life around that I was fluent in, that I absolutely enjoyed, and was 100% different from what I do now. And so I landed on video games. It's like the weirdest thing, right? This transition from, hey, you're top tier agile consultant in the market. You help some of the largest Fortune companies move to agile. You've published books, you've published articles, IEEE papers, you've spoken at large conferences all around the world. You know so much about this. And to move and say, let's try an experiment on something that I don't know. What I don't know is I know nothing about YouTube. I know nothing about how to monetize YouTube. I knew nothing about the entire ecosystem of YouTube. But one thing I did know is that there are certain people that make a living off of YouTube. And that created so much interest right there. I said, there are people who have executed on this and they have succeeded. So the precedent has been set. The precedent has been set. So let me choose that path. And so I'm moving away from software development consulting. I'm still going to consult. I think hopefully, people will somewhat still respect me, even though I'm doing this change my life thing, and maybe still want to hire me. That'd be great if they did. But going into a completely new field of where I have zero expertise is frightening as shit. But at the same time, I love learning. If for those who are out there who know me, you know that I love learning. If money wasn't an option and I didn't have to try this change your life stuff, I'd probably be in university the rest of my life. I'd finish my PhD, I'd become a professor, I'd do research. But at the end of the day, I know that's not me because I love interacting with people and I love working with people. And so I want to talk about, that was a long-winded way of saying I want to talk about the manifesto, but the manifesto for me was the capstone. Not a capstone. It was the biggest milestone that I had to get over. And what I've been doing for the last 6 days is I've been publishing these YouTube videos. I've been tweeting it on the first15.tv, which had a couple days ago had like 7 followers. And I was growing this channel somewhat incognito because I was scared. I was scared that what if my clients see this? What if my friends see this? What if my boss sees this? What if my colleagues see this? Am I gonna feel ashamed for doing this? Am I gonna feel embarrassed for trying something new? And so last night writing that manifesto was probably the scariest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I put it out on blast. I said, guys, I'm going full bore. I'm switching my Agile Scout Twitter handle to First15, and I update LinkedIn, and I'm just diving in. I can't tell you guys, I was so scared to turn that on. I actually had my brother on the phone with me during late last night. I was up till 4 last night. I actually had my brother on the phone with me, and I was telling him, I'm shaking, I'm sweating. I've never been this nervous before because I'm about to tell the entire world that I'm changing my life. And what a grand experiment it is. I'm so excited to do it, but at the same time, there's this nagging thing in the back of my ego that's like, Peter, they're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna think you're stupid. They're all gonna think you're doing something crazy. Why would you do this? Writing that manifesto was probably the easiest blog post I've ever written. I knocked it out, and I think I only edited it twice. I knocked it out, and it just flowed from me. It was the exact expression of what I needed to pull out of myself so that I could tell the world that this is the new adventure that I'm going to be trying. And I was scared. I was fearful. I was trembling. There were moments when I felt like I wanted to cry because what am I doing? I could ruin my career. People could think that I'm the stupidest person ever to do something so crazy like this. And so I did it. I executed. And guys, it's been freaking awesome. You guys have been so supportive. It's been amazing. I've gotten emails, tweets, direct messages of people saying, Peter, I cannot believe you're doing this. I have my clients. I had some of my clients tweet me and said, Peter, go, do it, freaking do it. I had friends that are like, Peter, you are nuts, but I get it, and I'm gonna support you. And I didn't receive one single piece of negative feedback. so validating. It's so validating to try something so audacious. Go from a career that you understand to a career that you know nothing about, and have the community support has been tremendous. And so guys, I thank you so much for supporting me in this endeavor. I'm going to be as transparent as I possibly can with you guys, because I want you guys to come along on this journey with me to change my life. It's so exciting to just to say it, just change my life. And so the vision, if you watched the first video that I ever made, I talked about the product vision, right? The product vision of this is to change my life, to build a vibrant community of gamers who love gaming, to experiment with YouTube and learn how to monetize the shit out of it. And number 3, to do this full time. That's the vision. So that is the guiding light for me every day when I wake up now. The mission, however, and I think is equally as important. And the mission is radical transparency. I have preached for years to my clients that the most essential thing to helping them improve as leaders, and we're talking about C-level suite executives who have 5,000-6,000 people under their management. I always tell them when I'm sitting in the executive room talking with the executives, I always talk about the importance of radical transparency. And radical transparency is very simple. It's 3 things. A level of candor that is unmistakable. I always say it just like that. It's a level of candor that is unmistakable for loving, truthful comments, questions, conversation. Saying, I love you and I respect you enough to say this to your face. And it's not that I want to tear down our relationship. It's because I respect you and love you enough to say that we have a problem here and we need to talk about it. So number 1 is unmistakable candor. There's no pretense. Number 2, it's initiative, being initiativeness, being assertive. Radical transparency requires you to be the first to go. And I tell executives this all the time. I say, you must be the first to go. You must be the one to lead. You must be the one who sets the example. You must be the one that models for the rest of your organization the culture that you aspire to have, right? So you must be assertive. You must be initiative and engage when engaging is hard. And say the tough things. Ask the tough questions. And last but not least, it's humility. It's knowing when you don't know. It's knowing when you don't know the answer. It's being able to say, I don't know. Some of the best conversations I've ever had with clients have been when my clients have asked me in the middle of a boardroom or middle of a huge presentation or something. A client will say, Peter, here's this question, da 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 da. And I'll look at them and I'll say, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I'm a great researcher and I will have some options, some ideas by the end of the day. And I'd love to engage with you first thing tomorrow morning to talk about it. There's no point in pretending when you don't know. People can see through that. And so it's authentic transparency. And this radical transparency is the mission of this entire vlogging YouTube experience. It's that I am living what I preach, living what I teach, in radical transparency, giving you everything as much as I possibly can. I want to give you guys my budget, which I've already revealed to you guys. I want to give you guys how I'm monetizing it. I want to show you earnings. I want to show you trajectories. I want to show you how I'm making money if I do. I want to show you how I'm working sponsorship deals, how I'm engaging the community. I want to give it to you all because I'm a firm believer. And if you've ever taken part of any of my classes, my workshops before, you've probably heard me say this, but I am a firm believer if I give away everything, if I give away everything, then I will raise the tide for everyone, and everyone will win. And so this is going to be an epic adventure into the unknown for me. But at the same time, I know that as long as you guys are coming with me, I'm not alone. I'm not alone trying this new experiment. And so I appreciate you guys listening to a bit of my heart during this first Saturday retrospective. The following retrospectives probably aren't going to be as deep as this one, but I do want it to be a conversational style. I want you to feel like you're here with me and that you can have these types of conversations freely. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free, if you're new here, feel free to drop me a comment or a question. I live and breathe off of those. Please ask me questions. Say, Peter, how are you doing this? What are you thinking about that? That actually helps me solve those problems better because I might not have an answer. And so by merely you bringing it up to me, bringing it to my attention, allows me to start thinking about some of these problems that I'm going to have to solve as I scale this channel. So guys, thank you so much for this Saturday retrospective. And remember, it's all about executing to learn. Executing to learn. Keep executing, keep learning quickly. And I guess I see you on the flip side. Thanks so much, guys. I'm out.